2, 1.
Time!
Dead or alive.
What was it?
Dead or alive.
Nope.
And ladies and gentlemen, they are the few dollar show, Team Hero.
He got game. And Malcolm X.
And your winner, advancing into the finals, ladies and gentlemen, the Outlaw John Rocha.
It is episode number 3 of the Schmoedown Rundown. My name is Aaron. I will be your host today for these proceedings. Just a two-man crew this time, due to some circumstances, as in a hurricane coming to my front door. I didn't really have time to reach out to anyone in Schmoeville personally, as I like to do when I have people on to kind of, go over stuff. So I didn't have an opportunity. I'm safe. Thanks to everyone in Schmoeville that, was checking in on everybody. That's really cool. There's a lot of us here in Florida, but we're okay. So I really appreciate that. Joining me, as always, is the stat man of Schmoeville. I'm going to call him that. I don't know if he likes it. We'll see if it sticks. It's Frank. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Yes, man. That's a good little nickname. Christian called me that on the live show. So I think, it's a proper nickname. I love it.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. And, real quick, right off the top, before we get into anything, I got to give a shout out to RB3 and Cody. And the reason that is because when we upload this show, I send it to RB3 to get it on YouTube. I send it to Cody to get it on the podcast channel. Now, we know these dudes are really, really busy. We know that. They're always got their hands dipping into something schmo, always. Something Collider, something going on. I messaged RB3 that I had sent him the attachment with the show. And I kid you not, that RB3 had it done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, he just messaged me right back, like, got it, no problem. And I was like, okay, like, you could have taken your time, but all right, man. So RB3 quick as a hiccup, and then I messaged Cody, sent him an email with the podcast version, and just the same, he messaged me back quick and said, hey, man, it's already up. So, big props to these guys for just, taking
absolutely
time out of their day to just get it done. And I know that, Christian appreciates their hard work, and everyone else does as well. And I don't feel like they get enough credit. So I definitely want to give them a shout out right off the top. RB3 and Cody, you the real MVPs. But, let's jump into it, Frank. I know that we had some big things going down this week. We had a big team match to start off the week. It was the Wolves of Steel versus Team Heroes. Of course, the Wolves of Steel is Clark Wolf and Mark Reilly. Team Heroes, Robert Meyer Burnett and Big John Schnepp. Now, we know that Mark Reilly and John Schnepp had been in team competition before. Reilly with Dan Merle, Schnepp with Dennis Zing. So, we wanted to see how Clark performed as a team with Mark Reilly and Robert Meyer Burnett. It was his debut. So, Frank, I want to get your thoughts. What did you think of this match overall?
Overall, I thought this match was a lot closer than I anticipated it being, for more than one reason. We'll get into those. But I mean, it is what it is. Heroes came out with a win, and just a little disappointed with the Wolves of Steel. I mean, Wolves' first match as a team, I didn't think she did bad. It just the way some of these questions went. It's sometimes that's just how it goes.
Very odd questions that we'll get to in a second. But right off the top, one bullet point I want to hit right away is that the Wolves of Steel came out to the NWO Wolfpack theme. Now, some of you that aren't wrestling fans are like, I don't know what that means. But It's amazing. So the fact that they came out to the NWO Wolfpack theme, it should have been plus 5 points right away. Like, boom, that's perfect. Team Heroes comes out to the We Can Be Heroes. They both fit perfectly. I like the music selection we're seeing from these guys. Fits their teams, fits their personalities. Frank, did you have any thoughts on the theme? Are you a Wolfpack guy? Did you like this?
Growing up, I wasn't, I was starting to get a little bit away once NWO came out and all that stuff, but I'm familiar with them and and the theme and everything. I thought it's great. I always look forward to hearing what kind of song choice these teams or the individuals come out to, and what kind of theatrics go along with it. It adds to the entertainment value that the matches for me personally. So I look forward to it, and I thought it was great. And I loved Wolf coming out, and she's got a leather jacket now. Reilly's taking her under his wing, so that was really cool to see. And then apparently, we interrupted Schnepp's dinner time because he comes out with beer and pizza. Like coming out of some frat house. So I'm glad he can make the match and and eat his dinner at the same time.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. And before I go any further, I gotta say this, man. Don't turn this off because I don't want you to think that this is a giant bitch fest, but I'm gonna be bitching a lot of this episode. So I just want to let that. And I know
he's got a lot going on, people. He's got a lot going on.
I got a lot of stuff. So I had a giant problem with that. Like, I know,
Really?
I really did. Like, I know that it's supposed to be fun, and Modelo Especial, which is what Schnepp was drinking, free plug for Modelo. It's my favorite beer, so I'm right there with you. But on camera, come on, man. Like, on the table, without a coaster. So, I know my buddy Fraser Crane will not be happy about that. So, I don't know. I didn't like it. And I'm not saying it was like a substitute teacher thing, but I feel like if Dennis was there, like Dennis would have lost it. So, and I know that he's not like over the Schmoedown, but it is a part of that Collider team. So I didn't like it. And I thought that Schnepp was going to do the whole, because when he was against Kale Anonymous, when he was against Finstock, when he like doesn't know an answer, he kind of does like, it's scrimble, scramble, schmipple, schmopple.
Right.
I cannot stand it when he does that. I like John Schnepp. I really do. But when he gets into these things and starts, when he's out of it, I'm out. Like, I don't want to see him anymore. So
yeah, he plays like this sort of like this disinterested kind of character, almost as if he's trying to mask his eventual downfall by playing this person who's, I'm not really, all about this. I'm taking it easy. Who cares? But I mean, it's kind of cute for a little bit, but it gets a little, that little shtick gets a little tired because it's like, yeah, you can take it a little serious. I mean, instead of trying to like hide behind this little facade of, it's this, it's not really anything, But, I like John Schnepp just as much as anybody else, but this little persona he puts on, doesn't really do it for me. I mean, I don't totally dislike it, and I'm not with you on the whole, the beer and pizza thing. That didn't bother me. I thought it was kind of funny and interesting. But that was his choice. But it is what it is, and it's fine for me.
maybe I was just in a bad mood. It's very possible, but I couldn't help it. I had to put it in the notes. But going off of that point, let's talk about his partner for a second. We got Robert Maya Burnett making his debut. Mm-hmm. He was super excited about it, promoting this match a lot. What did you think of his performance?
A lot of respect to Mr. Burnett, because if it wasn't for him, this wouldn't have been a match at all. I mean, getting right into that first round, Schnepp goes 0 for 3, which is just classic Schnepp, if you know what he does in these Schmoedowns. And Burnett coming out, 2 for 3 in that first round. I thought, it showed that he was here to play, and I think he took this seriously, much more seriously when compared to Schnepp. So, from right there from the first round, I was really looking forward to what he would do the rest of the match. Mm-hmm. So props to Burnett for really bringing it in this match.
Absolutely, and he's even promoting it further. He wants to do more of them as soon as possible. I even reached out to him to be on the show. He said he would totally do it. So we're going to book Robert Meyer Burnett, hopefully very soon. I would love to talk to him. And
Absolutely.
I mean, let's talk about real quick just some of the questions. Like, I had an issue with some of the questions again in the team match. There was a question that came up, and the answer was Clark gave the answer of 54. Well, then Christian and Campia asks, can you be more specific? And she says Studio 54. Well, technically that's not correct. The movie is 54, which,
Right.
once again, that's nitpicky, and I get that. But how can you correct with the wrong answer? Like, what's
Right.
going on with
Yeah.
that?
It was already right. Yeah, it was already right. And, I think, because when Schmoeville can submit questions now, so part of my thinking has been, maybe they're starting to use a lot of these questions. Maybe they are getting a lot of submissions for all these questions, which is great. And I don't know what like their vetting process is. If they're just wholly trusting that people are doing their research and submitting right answers and questions. So I don't know if that's part of it. If they kind of, we just so happen to get a batch of questions that, had a couple of, it wasn't worded right, or they had a wrong correct answer, or so it's something that that it kind of took me out of this match a little bit, because I was like, what's going on here, really? And I don't want to have these kind of feelings watching the match for something I enjoy, something I was anticipating, and that's what I kind of got out of these questions. Kind of took me out a little bit.
Okay, I see what you mean there. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bury Chris Galicki, who writes the questions. It's not
Right.
because I know that, I don't want to be in charge of all those questions. So
There's got to be thousands upon thousands of questions he's dealing with. So
I think your theory about the Schmoeville suggestions could be absolutely correct. And it's not like a huge deal, but I know that if enough people notice, then it kind of becomes a deal. So
Right,
it's that
yeah.
kind of thing. I noticed that a lot of people were talking about it. So just kind of wanted to bring that up. Just
Yeah, and another thing with the questions, I know you had mentioned this before we got on. The Wolf's Clark Wolf's third question she had in the first round of horror wasn't really a horror question. No. It was a movie dates question, and that's unfair to Wolf because Schnapp got an actual horror question.
Right, absolutely. I mean, you and I talked about it in about, do we really even, just off the top, do we even really need movie dates as a category? Because I mean, you and I were bouncing movies off of each other. Like when did it come out? We have no idea. We have no clue. Like I said to you, I was like, I'm a huge Batman fan. I know when The Dark Knight came out in 2008, and then I know that the Batman with Michael Keaton came out in 1989. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know movie release dates.
Yeah, I mean, I know we speculated that they kind of inserted it in for Mance, maybe not, because he knows all the movie dates, so you kind of throw that. I mean, I think on the wheel, it's okay, but as a general, like, out of the categories that they throw at you, maybe not so much. I can take it being on the wheel, but between the first and third rounds like that, maybe they could do without those kind of questions.
I absolutely agree. And like you said, if it's a genre question, I think we kind of need to establish what is the question going to be. And I think that it just needs to be one question with one answer. So, who directed Forrest Gump? Robert Zemeckis. That's it. Not which one of these Robert Zemeckis films stars Tom Hanks. No, there's too many. It's too much. Like, that's kind of a bad example, but like there was a question that was asked where it's like in the Reilly Rocha match, which was like, name 2 films that Denzel Washington did with Spike Lee. Like, come on, man. One question, one answer.
Well, see, I'm halfway there with you. Personally, I don't think there should be twofers in the first round at all, because they're just for 1 point, and it's introductory round. When it comes to the second round, it's 2 points per question or multiple choice. That I could see you sprinkling in a couple twofers in there. When you get to the third round, if it's a 3 or 5 point question, I can see a twofer in there, but I mean, as we'll get into the Reilly Rocha match a little bit later, Rocha, he had I think 5 two-for questions. So I mean, 3 of them in the first round. So to me, that's a little unfair because Reilly had none. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves by talking about that match too much, but this stuff has kind of been happening, and people in Schmoeville are talking about it.
Absolutely. And something else that everybody was definitely talking about, and something that I noticed and told you about, like right after the match, was Team Heroes. There's 6 questions in the second round between the teams. Mm-hmm. Team Heroes only got to answer 5. Now, this kind of parlays into my point. Well, let me get your thoughts first, and then I'll parlay it into what I want to say later.
That second round, I didn't even notice that Heroes was shorted a question until I saw all the action in Schmoeville. Like, did they just get 5 questions? Did I read that right? Watch that right? I went back and sure enough, 5 questions for Heroes, and I was like, well, maybe it's an editing error, maybe something else happened. Didn't look like that. It looked like they just kind of completely missed it. I was pretty shocked because that's a major gaffe. Because I would think as they're giving the questions, they're, Christian and Campia are keeping track of who's answering what for what amounts. But they just missed it, and we haven't really gotten a clear explanation on it or what they want to do about it. I'm looking forward to hearing an explanation or how they're trying to rectify the situation, because that missing 6th question does have ramifications for who wins this match. So
absolutely, and I want to parlay that into my point of the Schmoedown needs an official judge. I'm going to suggest it. It can be Mark Ellis, it can be Campia, it can be Sasha. It needs to be somebody that knows the rules and is keeping track. It can be Cody, RB3, anybody except for Makuga. But or Finstock. But this can't happen. It could have absolutely swung the match, because let's say Heroes doesn't answer the question correctly, says it wrong, Wolves of Steel gets 2 points, they win the game. So it's completely flippy floppy. And I know that Christian addressed it with a tweet that said, it's noted. But it's kind of a problem. And, people have pointed out to everybody, Mark Reilly and Clark and Robert and Schnepp, and, not on board, man. They're kind of like, what's going on? Even, I don't know if they talked about it behind the scenes, but I'm not pitching a big fit about it. I just want, somebody needs to ref it. Like, somebody needs to decide when questions are right or wrong, so that Christian and Campia or Ellis or whoever's hosting can defer to them, so they don't have to kind of make it up on the fly, where it's like, okay, I'll give it to you. Let, maybe even Ken Knapsack, just let somebody, if you're not sure if that's the right answer, look at Ken. Ken says thumbs up, thumbs down, and you go from there. That way you have an official judge, and it can't get misconstrued. What do you think about an official judge?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I know in the early goings of this Schmoedown, back in Phase 5, when they were kind of making stuff up on the fly. It was brand new. They were figuring out how to do it. And now they've come a long way, and they're still, I think, working out some of the kinks here and there. Not as much as they used to, because they're working on this thing. I think they want this to be the best product that they can put out there. And I know they work hard on this. But this was just kind of, I guess, in a sense, a perfect storm of issues that just arose in one match. Usually, we don't see it like this, and this is why it's such an odd thing to see, and why I think it's got a lot of people talking about, what's going on with these. You missed the question for this. These questions are worded weird. So, I mean, it's definitely not something that happens all the time. But there is some form of it that happens from match to match, from time to time. So I just hope they can address it and get it rectified.
Yeah, I tend to think it's an anomaly. I don't see it happening every week. But it like I said earlier, it's noticeable. When enough people notice, it's noticeable. And as long as it's taken care of down the road, it doesn't matter. So
yeah, and I have faith that they'll fix it, and going here on out. So
absolutely.
But yeah, it just happened to be one of these matches where, it just all came together at the wrong time.
As the Schmoedown continues to grow and it starts grabbing more and more fans outside of the Collider Schmo bubble, these things are going to become more prevalent because and I don't want people to think that Frank and I are trolling because we're not, but people on the internet will troll the crap out of this and they will not let you live it down. So, as long as it's fixed moving forward, no problem. I got no problems with it. It's fine. But
right, like what you saw happen in Schmoeville discussions, go take a look at the YouTube comments because they're like amped up by 100. I mean, these people will flip out, and maybe those aren't people they're really caring about. They care about the Schmoeville audience and want to do right by us. But I mean, as this gets big, much bigger and bigger, as you said, these things aren't going to go away, and people are just going to dismiss them because this is, severely legit for a lot of people, and it's more than just this pseudo wrestling mixed with movie trivia. It's the real deal for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think you're spot on. I want to move to one more piece, and then I swear I will stop complaining. Okay, so Team Heroes, defeats the Wolves of Steel 16-15, so the debut doesn't go as planned for the Wolves of Steel. Team Heroes gets the 1-0 victory. But I have one question. I have one more thing. Seriously, can somebody tell Makuga? And I like Makuga, believe me. I think TV Talk is a great show. Seriously, dude. Like, I hear him every question. Whistling. I don't know if it's him. I can't really confirm that. It's either him whistling or cheering or yelling or something. I get it. I get that you're amped up. But, dude, it does not play well on the channel. It just doesn't. Frank, am I overreacting, or does somebody need to tell Makuga, like, bro, like, chill mode?
Maybe you are a little bit overreacting, because personally, it doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of funny, and what I think, as long as it's not disruptive to the players, as long as they feel it's not disruptive to them, hey, and if that's what they allow over there, I think it's fine. I think it kind of adds a little bit, So I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I'm sure you're not the only one about Makuga or the audience in general about hollering or whistling after certain categories or topics or answers and what have you. But I don't really have a big deal with it. That's just me, though.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, honestly, now that I've said it, go back and watch it, and you can't unhear it. I'm telling you. You can't.
Yeah, great. Every time when I hear it from here on out.
I hear it every time. So, all right.
Like, damn
it, he did it again. Sorry, Schmoeville.
Yeah.
But, sorry, Frank. And so that's it. Like, that's really all my complaining, I swear. Like, I'm done complaining. So, let's move on. Let's talk about the Ultimate Schmoedown semifinal between the Outlaw John Rocha and Mark Reilly.
Yes. Before we get into that, I'd just like to address something that Christian Harloff mentioned on the past live show, about something that I had said on the previous podcast about Reilly. He had mentioned that I turned on Reilly. It depends how you want to... I wouldn't say I turned on him. I think I just came to a realization of what Reilly is. He said that I said Reilly was on a downslope, which is not true. I did not say he was on a downslope. I merely said that I've never been sold on his dominance. That's not to say that I think he was on a downslope. That's not true. He said that I thought Rocha was going to win. That is true. And what happened? Rocha won. So, and then we had talked about the fan Schmoedown that would be happening at the Kamikaze. And that he said that I would challenge Reilly, which isn't true because that was another panelist, Kyle. He said he would challenge Reilly. I said I would challenge JTE. So, and Reilly kind of responded, I don't like him, never listen, but I don't like it. Which is great because I think that means we have a good shot of getting Reilly on the show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you gave some factual information about Mark Reilly and his matches, and that happens. I understand why it would seem like you had turned your back on Mark Reilly, and because he is more or less the people's champion of Schmoeville, if you will. I would acknowledge that, but you didn't hit him with a chair, so it's not
I hit him
a
with
huge.
facts. I hit him with facts. I mean,
You hit him with factual information, and I completely understand that. By the way, next week, Mark Reilly on here to yell at Frank. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'll take the lashing. I'll take it.
yeah, take it. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into this matchup. It was highly anticipated. Matt Kearns, who was on the first episode of the show, made an amazing trailer to.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it was great. Well done, Matt. Well done, buddy. To kind of lead up to it, we got a vignette at the beginning, chronicling their journeys to meet each other, which was really, really cool. And, Frank, tell me what you thought. Live up to the hype.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this match, according to my own metric that I have, I've actually ranked this as the third best match of all time.
Holy moly.
That is right behind, obviously, Rocha and Harloff's match. And the second one I have ranked is the Reilly vs. Merle championship match that happened between them. And then right after that, I'm putting this one, the Reilly Rocha one. That one's right up there, top three for sure. This match, it was a little more wide open in the beginning of this match, especially with how Reilly performed in that second round. That's when things got a little bit easier. I don't want to say easier for Rocha, but a little less tense, because that Apatow question or category, I think, really threw him off. Even before that, though, Reilly trying to come out really quick with that first question, the 80s category, trying to answer it really quick. I think he was trying to set a tone with Rocha, maybe, that he's going to be very assertive and direct and quick with his answers. Didn't work out for those first two. And then he had a rough third round. And Rocha, he just stayed the course from what he had done the match previous. And there's really hardly any deviation from what he did in the last match to what he did in this match. So it played out almost like I thought it would, pretty close. But more importantly, when I predicted Rocha winning, he did in fact win. So I was pleased with the outcome because I was rooting for Rocha. So sorry, Reilly.
Yeah, see, he turned on him twice right there. He turned on him again.
Maybe it is true. Maybe it is.
But to be fair, I also picked Rocha. So we're both kind of right in that occasion. So yeah, I mean, Mark Reilly, always a great competitor. Whether his competition is great or not is another issue. Let's not rehash that. But Rocha comes in, NWO shirt on, Mark Reilly with the Superman shirt and the shades. Really cool entrances once again. Great music to start off. They get the atmosphere. They get what makes it entertaining. John Rocha with the Death of Superman comic. I gotta bring that up.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that is amazing stuff.
That was spectacular. And I was dying. I was dying laughing. But once again, like we've said before, Frank, round two. Round two was crucial again. Mark Reilly rolls Apatow, like you said, with John Apatow movies that I personally, and this is just me, I wasn't really familiar with, like, taking a deep dive. So I was kind of like, these questions, I was like, oh man, it's like an obscure Judd Apatow movie. Because if you said, like, Knocked Up or 40-Year-Old Virgin, like, oh, I'm all over that. But, like, this is 40 and funny people and Trainwreck. I was like, oh, those are tough. But, he did get them all. He got them all. 5 points out of the round.
He certainly weathered that storm as best as you could, like a previous champ would. So I, gave him a lot of respect for weathering that storm. I thought he certainly did what he had to do to still stay competitive and not let the match get away from him like it could have, like it did against Merle in that second round. So it doesn't surprise me that Reilly performed the way he did when he got a category that wasn't necessarily in his wheelhouse.
Yeah,
and I want to point out real quick, Reilly in the second round, he averages answering 75% of his questions right. He usually takes away 75% of the possible points that he's eligible to get without stealing. And then Rocha in the second round, he answers at about an 87.5% clip, and he earns 78% of the possible points in his second round, excluding stealing. So Rocha definitely had an advantage heading into this by performing well in the second round in his first 4 matches.
Yeah. Yes. So it's basically, if I'm hearing your numbers right, Frank, and tell me if I'm wrong, basically neither Reilly nor Rocha give an opportunity to take. They're always proactive in getting their own points and not letting people steal. Is that a fair assessment?
Right. So like Reilly, he's given up in this iteration, this era. He's only given up. Let me take a look. He's only given up 3 opportunities to steal, and his opponents have taken advantage of it, and they've stolen 3 times for a grand total of 5 points. Rocha, on the other hand, in his 4 matches in this format, he's only given up 2 opportunities, which means he's missed only 2 questions in the second round in all 4 of his matches, and they were stolen once for 1 point and once for 2 points. So Reilly was gonna, not have really any opportunities to take points off of Rocha for him to really get ahead of Rocha, because he had a semi-okay, he had an average first round, so Reilly wasn't going to have, or Rocha rather, wasn't going to give much room for error.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then you have Rocha in round 2 grabbing biopicks. He got all 4, total of 7 points. Biopic seems to be his category now.
Yeah.
He seems to really thrive on biopics, and I think that has a lot to do with the Top 10 show, in how they discuss films. The podcast that he's on, the Cinephiles, they take deep dives into character movies, generally, biopics and other things. So I think that he had a distinct advantage, especially getting biopics. So it doesn't surprise me that either one of these guys ran the table. I mean, they're both great competitors. But let's jump to the last round. Reilly goes 1 for 3. He only gets the 5-point question. Rocha goes 2 for 3, gets 6 points. In the win, he beats Mark Reilly 18-14. Did anything surprise you about that last round?
The one category that came out of nowhere that I had no idea they had was Steven Seagal. I was like, wow, Steven Seagal out of nowhere. That really hurt Reilly, I think, in his head that he has a shot at coming away, and then he gets the coming of age category with this 3-pointer, not able to pull that one out. And Rocha, he got crimed for that 1-pointer, and I was like, well, that's right in his wheelhouse as well. And the Tom Cruise question, I thought he would get that one. It was a little bit of a weird question. I was trying to think. I didn't even know the answer, and I've seen the movie Oblivion. I don't even know. It's kind of that's a pretty obscure Tom Cruise question, considering he has pretty popular movies. But I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Reilly just he got some bad categories. I'm not gonna lie, which helped Rocha.
It was definitely a tough go for Mark Reilly in that last round. I kind of felt bad for those questions because, I'm not saying that I could beat anyone on the Schmoedown, but I'm very well versed in movie trivia. And those questions had me baffled. I was like, what in the world? Because I thought that the sequel to Under Siege was just Under Siege 2, which was wrong.
Right.
And then that I've never seen Oblivion, so I was way lost on Tom Cruise. And it was just this cavalcade of questions where it's just kind of like, wow, these are obscure, but that's just how it goes. With the Apatow films, with these, just not a good run of questions for Mark Reilly, but it easily could have happened to Rocha as well. So it just kind of, it goes both ways, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But an interesting tidbit as John Rocha moves on to face Mark Ellis in what I'm going to call the Ultimate Schmoedown Grand Championship, because that's more or less what it is. It's like a Grand Prix title if you follow kickboxing or MMA. But an interesting tidbit in the interviews, the post-match interviews, the loser between John Rocha and Mark Ellis will play Mark Reilly to see who will face either Dan Murrell or Ellis or John Rocha for the championship. So essentially, Mark Reilly losing this match is definitely not the end of the world. He can come right back up the ladder. We could see Reilly versus Rocha again. So what do you think of that possibility? Interesting twist they kind of threw it in there.
Yeah, the thing, if I'm remembering correctly, the Riley's playing basically the third place match, and the winner from that goes into the Spectacular and has a shot at the title. Or
that's correct.
Might not. Yeah, okay. That's a really interesting development that I learned recently. So if we got Reilly and Rocha again, I'd actually be a little disappointed because I want to see Reilly and Ellis. That's the one. I think if you watched the 2014 tournament, I think a lot of people wanted to see that one, the Reilly versus Ellis, and we got robbed of that because JTE and Ellis not betting properly. But that aside, I would want to see Ellis and Reilly, and not just because I want to see Rocha win the tournament. I want to see that match regardless. And if that's the way it has to happen, I'm sure Rocha would gladly beat Ellis for me and make that happen for everybody out in Schmoeville. So I think it's a great twist that they've thrown in here with this. Something I wasn't even thinking of or expecting. So it's definitely welcomed.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's think about this for a second. Let's think about, and I don't want to make this Rocha heavy because Mark Reilly, he's a former champion. He's a great competitor. But John Rocha now, he's beaten Josh McCouga. He avenged his loss to Scott Mance. He's beaten Christian Harloff. He has now beaten Mark Reilly. Let's just, hypothetical, let's say John Rocha goes on to beat Mark Ellis. Let's then hypothetically again say that John Rocha defeats Dan Murrell and wins the championship. Is it? It's already a very impressive streak that he's on. But Frank, is it the most improbable, amazing, never going to happen again, Undertaker WrestleMania style streak that we've ever seen?
As of right now, this has been a pretty impressive feat of what he's done. If you take a look at the point totals he's had to go up against these last few matches, or even the beginning of his career, I mean, he was 17 points up against, 16 points. There was a lull there with 10, the rematch with Mance. 19 against Harloff and 14 here with Reilly, which could have been 17 points, if he got a three-pointer right. But his run is just amazing, especially when you throw in the fact that he's gone to the last question all of his matches, except for that Mance rematch. He's gone to the last question. He's had to answer it. It's been do or die for him for those 4 matches, really. He lost the initial one to Mance. But he's been in that situation, and that's what makes this run so crazy, is that he's had to go to the last question the last 3 times to pull it out. And he's done it, and the last match before this one, he went all-time numbers on us. So it's crazy. I mean, Murrell has a very impressive run, but what makes Rocha's better, in my opinion, is the level of competition that Rocha's had to endure. Murrell hasn't. He's gone up against some good competitors. They just didn't bring their A game. Rocha's gone up against people's A game continually, and that's what I think sets his run above anybody else's right now that's ever happened.
There he is, guys. Further grinding the knife in the back of Mark Reilly.
No, you're killing me.
Stabbing him deep. But yeah, man. I mean, I look at it and I think about it, and I'm like, wow, that is an absolute murderer's row of competition that he, they've all been close, but man, if he can beat Ellis, if they can win, if he and Matt Nose can beat both Harloff and Ellis, I mean, I hate to keep throwing the wrestling references out there, but I feel like I have to. There was a wrestler in WCW by the name of the Ultimo Dragon, and now people are really scratching their heads because I went deep cuts. But
Yeah, I don't even know.
the Ultimo Dragon was a cruiserweight, which means he was a lightweight. And at one point, the Ultimo Dragon had like 12 single championships that he would walk out with. Like he had 12 title belts. And I cannot help but think that like by the end of the year, Rocha could be the next Ultimo Dragon, just walking out with titles galore. Like he may even take the movie fights championship. Who knows? I mean, the dude is impressive. He's like a tornado right now, and I don't think he's going to be stopped. I like Ellis, and I don't want to take a deep dive into predictions because we'll save that. But man, it is tough. It is going to be tough.
Let me just give you a little snippet.
Yeah, please.
A little tiny preview for Rocha Ellis. So they both have 2 matches. Okay, Rocha, he has answered 23 out of 26 correct for 88.46%. Ellis has answered 21 out of 28 for a 75% correct. Oh. Ellis has earned 35 points, Rocha 39 points. So, looking at these numbers, Rocha has performed better than Ellis, and will that continue into the final? I got much more stats to go into round by round. We'll get into that in a later episode, obviously, before the match. But just want to leave you with that. Rocha has performed better than anybody, including Ellis baby carrots.
Yeah, and we love baby carrots. Like I love Mark Ellis, funny guy, love him to death, great competitor. But man, that John Rocha bustle. Let me ask you this, Frank. This is kind of off the cuff, so it's not on the rundown sheet. I'm sorry, but do you want to see like a not necessarily like a weigh-in, but like a press conference between John Rocha and Mark Ellis? Like just a little snippet, like maybe do like a 5-minute video of them in a press conference. Do you think that would be fun? That's something that they should do?
Yeah, I think we got kind of a little bit of that at the end of this match with Reilly and Rocha, but in a little bit longer version, a little more hyped up kind of event kind of thing where Harloff is, like the Dana White basically,
Absolutely.
I think that would be pretty cool, and I think Rocha definitely has the swagger for it. Ellis, he can be pretty quick on his feet with some one-liners and whatnot, and whether it's scripted or not, I don't think I wouldn't care if it was scripted. I think it'd just be great entertainment, add to the Schmoedown. But if they want to do it off the cuff, improv it, I think that would be great too. If they want to do a separate thing, if they have time to do it, I think everybody out there would love it.
Yeah, our thought process is the same because that's exactly what I pictured. Was Harloff as the Dana White kind of person, the promoter.
Yeah.
And then you have Rocha and Mark Ellis doing a face-off with Harloff, like, trying to keep them away from each other. Kind of like the UFC does, and even like in Rocky IV with Stallone and Drago, or Rocky and Drago, like at the press conference, something like that. Or, Apollo Creed, that kind of thing.
Right.
Oh, man, that would be amazing. So,
and I would just love to see different people from the Collider crew, Schmo's crew, acting as like reporters, throwing out questions. I think it would be a pretty cool thing if they could do that.
You know who would be really good at that? Josh McCouga. Throw Josh McCouga to do that. Let Josh McCouga ask the questions. That would be great. There, McCouga, I love you, buddy. There's where you can fit right back into the show. It's not a burial of McCouga, just something else for him to know. That would be amazing. But guys, that's it for the review of Ellis and Reilly and Rocha. John Rocha moves on to face Baby Carrots Ellis. Frank and I had an amazing opportunity to speak with the man himself, the Outlaw John Rocha, about his thoughts on his matchups, how he matches up against Ellis. We got some closure on some questions that we had as a collective, and it's pretty awesome. So definitely stay tuned for this right now, an interview with John Rocha. Guys, joining us this week is the co-host of the Top 10 Show, the co-host of the Cinephiles podcast, the number one contender, or half of, for the Schmoedown Tag Team Championships, and now finalist in the Ultimate Showdown, good lord, Ultimate Schmoedown tournament. It is the Outlaw, or some know you as the red shirt guy. It is John Rocha. Sir, welcome to the podcast. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate being here.
Any freaking time you wish, sir. I want to start off, I got to get this out right away. Where does the Outlaw persona come from? Because obviously you're a wrestling fan. That's evidenced by the NWO shirt, your Twitter handle.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? And maybe like who are favorite wrestlers that you draw inspiration from?
Well, definitely Hulk Hogan. I mean, that's my number one guy. That's who I grew up with, idolizing, going through his face time and then going through his heel time, back to face, back to heel, back to face, and ultimately, legendary status. He's my guy. Randy Savage was one of my guys. You see these great performers that understand how to work the mic or the stick, as they call it, but also do great work and tell stories in the ring in between the ropes. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, The Rock, obviously Stone Cold. All those people influence what I do when I walk out there and what I channel when I walk out there.
Absolutely. I even put, for myself, I kind of put even a little Jake the Snake Roberts, maybe a little Jesse the Body in there a little bit, like kind of a little bit of that flavor. Because I'm a big wrestling fan.
Monsoon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a huge wrestling fan myself, so like when you come out there and do that, I'm just like, I totally get what he's doing. But going off of that, the Guy Fawkes mask that you like to wear. Now, is it a cultural thing? Is it do you just really like V for Vendetta? What's with the Guy Fawkes mask?
Well, a few years ago, I dressed up as the V for Vendetta guy for Halloween, and I've always had the mask. And when Christian was telling me about the Schmoedown and what he wanted to do with the Schmoedown, he's like, I want you to like channel your inner heel. I know you'd be great if because I know you like being a little bit of a heel. So let's play with that. And so when I went home, I spent all weekend thinking about what I want to do with this character, what I want to do with the Outlaw, how much of myself I want to put in, like hyper elements of myself, what do you call it? I don't know, what do you call it? Like just extensions of myself Absolutely. In an alternate reality, And so rummaging through my stuff in the closet that I have here at my place, I was like, I found the mask and I said, oh, this is perfect. Because nobody knows me. Like all the Schmoes people know already. They've been around them for 7 years, or they've like thousands and thousands of followers. And for me, I was still kind of building a name, And so for me, I thought this is a great way to do it. It's like I'm hiding behind the mask because I am unknown to a degree, and I'm there to wreak my vengeance on everyone.
Absolutely, and it goes back to that pro wrestling trope. It's just as they told Stone Cold Steve Austin, his character is who he really is, but it's turned up to 12. So
exactly.
So this outlaw character, if you will, is just yourself turned up to 12. It's
right. It's the most hyper competitive parts, the hyper don't give a crap parts of myself turned up to 12. Because obviously people talk about all the time on other shows how I'm a nice guy and I get along with everybody and I'm cool, because it's true, because that's how I am normally. But when I'm in a competition, I'm a whole nother animal.
Yes, we've heard, especially Sasha, bring that up, that she loves you in real life, but competition, she doesn't want to be near you. I'm gonna ask you one more questions.
Yeah. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, Frank. What's going on, bud?
So one of my questions for you is, now you're in the teams and you're competing in the singles, obviously. What's easier or harder about either or? I mean, is there more challenges when you're working with a teammate, or do you prefer? I mean, not prefer, but is it easier just by yourself?
No, I think by myself, I'm more prone to my nerves and my competitive fears that come up. And Matt has always been great at taking stuff not so seriously, so that calms me down. So for our team stuff, it really helps. That's the pro of our connection or friendship or chemistry when we do our shows, is like there is this kind of feeling like he calms me down and I hype him up a little bit, and so it's like we kind of balance each other out in that way. The negative is that I have to rely on him to answer some answers, and where I would, I can be a bit of a mini control freak and wanting to answer all the questions. You have to kind of defer. And I think most people are like that, who are competitive. Like they hate to put their fate in someone else's hands. Right. They'd rather, live and die on their own.
JTE.
Yeah. The rise and fall of JTE.
with the top 10 show you do you think that's an asset between you and Matt and for when you go into a Schmoedown? Because I mean, you guys go through these top 10 rankings and you got the genres and
Yeah, I think it definitely gives both of us confidence in each other that that we know a lot about films. So walking in, we're not going to get caught out or caught unawares or like if we miss a question, there's no sense of like, why are you such an idiot? Like there's not that feeling because we really know that the other person knows a lot about film as well. And if they miss something, it's not from a lack of knowledge. It's from a lack of not having that answer available to them at that time.
And another question is, now this is regards to the questions being asked. Now we've noticed that there's been a lot of, especially in the first round, that there's been about, in your past match with Reilly, you had 3 questions in the first round that required 2 answers. How do you feel about them inserting these questions, especially in the first round, that require 2 answers for only 1 point? Is that something that hurts you, or?
No, I'll be honest with you. I fight the match in front of me, right? Whatever it is, I fight the match in front of me. So for me, if you get caught up in the little minutia of it, you're going to throw yourself off. So the way I look at it is I expect every question to be the most toughest question I've ever heard. So mentally, I am prepared for the toughest question every single time, whether it's the 1-point question, first question of the match, or 5-point question, the last question of the match. To me, every question I anticipate will be this extensively long answer that I'll have to agonize over and find at the last second. So when I answer them quickly, I'm happy that I got the answer so quickly. But when it's 2 or 3, I just fully expect it. Some people think I'm being dramatic. You don't understand. My mentality is any questions coming down the pike is going to be difficult. Any category is going to be difficult because you never know what's coming out of Christian or Mark's or John Campia's mouth or even Freddie Prince's mouth. You don't know what the question is going to be. So for me, I always anticipate the worst so that I'm prepared to handle it if it comes up. And obviously, really learned my lesson after the Bespin gap.
Well, I mean, that mindset going forward is, I think, really served you well. And you mentioned about that, when answering that 5-point question, you've had to do it in just about every single match except for the rematch hands. Basically, your fate is in your own hands. Do you prefer it now, or does it make it things? Now that you've done it about 3 times now, does it make it easier to handle?
I'll be honest with you. I'd be shocked that anybody prefers to have everything go down to the last question. I think all of us would love to knock the other person out as quickly as possible and not have to worry about it anymore. Absolutely. But unfortunately, that's not the way it goes all the time. So, and really, let me tell you something, boys. After every match, I am a basket case of nerves because of the Bespin thing. Like, I am deathly afraid to miss another easy question or at least a moderate question at the end again and blow my chance or lose my chance and what have you. So it's always in my mind. It's always there. And like I said at the end of the Reilly match, it's what motivates me to be more focused when I walk in to play this match or play these matches. I don't want to be caught out. So the fact that I've answered the last question correctly in the last 4 matches except for the match, the rematch, I guess, and the team match with Matt Nose when we beat Rotten Tomatoes, to me, it's just like, okay, it's hard. It's like a diamond, right? You got to harden the diamond up, like a lump of coal. You squeeze it till it becomes a diamond, and that's what it feels like. And I hope that continues through Mark Ellis and into my match with Dan Murrell, which I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I'm just saying, like, I hope it continues.
Right. That was one of the reasons why I picked you over Reilly, because if it had to come down to the last question, which it did, I had full confidence in your ability to answer that question right. Because I think you've just been down that road many times now.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Frank. I mean, I at some point, I expect it now. And I think, like I said earlier, preparing for the worst possible question gets me prepared for any question that comes down the pike. So either it's a 1-pointer or a 5-pointer. And especially it coming down to the last question, the fact that I've prepared myself through the entire match for every question to be my last question. When the last question happens, I kind of just expect it to go down to the last question. So in my mind, I'm already prepared for that scenario because I've been preparing for it since the beginning of the match.
All right, well, that's all I got for you there. Hey, that's some good stuff.
That's amazingly insightful stuff, and that's great. Especially in the post-match interview when you were talking about the Bespin thing, because me personally, We talked about it on the last show. Bespin has jumped the shark. Like, it's cut the shit with the Bespin. Like, we're tired of it. I'm tired of it. But, John, I want to wind this down here because I know your time is precious. So if I could, just to maybe sharpen the skills, I want to ask you one trivia Schmoedown question, if you will.
Oh, shit. All right. This was not part of the deal, but okay.
Trust me, it's a layup. So here goes.
So you say.
Here goes.
Yeah.
It's in the category of fantasy sci-fi. So, it's multiple choice as well. So, I mean, come on. Which of the following films would no one on this planet ever consider a B movie? Is the answer A, Predator? Is the answer?
I don't need multiple choice. The answer is the answer is not Predator. Everyone on this planet should consider Predator a B movie. That's ridiculous.
That is incorrect. The answer is actually D, all of the above.
Oh, there we go. Okay, what was it? What was B and C?
They were
I
also
apologize.
Predator. So there is only one answer, then that is correct. But John, all bullshit aside, before we let you go, I was just talking to Frank before we got you on here. You are on the most impressive Schmoedown run we've had. You've beaten Josh McCouga. You've taken out Mark Reilly. You've beat Christian Harloff. You've beat Scott Mantz. You have Mark Ellis on the horizon. Let's do a little pretending here. I'm Mark Ellis. I'm Aaron playing Mark Ellis. What do you say to me? What do you have to say to me as Mark Ellis right now?
Mark, your time has come. You had a nice run, Mark, to get here to the finals, but now you're facing a buzzsaw. You're facing an undeniable person who's on a quest. So you're just in the way. And I appreciate all your jokes. I know you're a funny guy. People like you. I know you take it easy with Hawaiian shirts and eating pizza and cracking up about everything. But the truth is at the end here, baby carrots, I'm going to turn you into puree. And I'm going to feed you into a baby's mouth. And what's going to come out of the baby's butt is exactly how you're going to be in this match. Do you understand? That's how you're going to be. Do you understand me? So that's the truth of what's going to happen here. I beat one Schmo already. I'm going to beat the second Schmo, and I'm going to beat him twice because we're going to win the team match, and I'm going to beat Mark Ellis first. So like that. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's how it's going to go down. And then I'm going to be double belted by December. That's the goal. That's what's in my mind. You're just in the way. You're just a bag of bones in the way, man. You could have any name you want. You could be John Travolta. You could be Tom Cruise. You could be The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. The fact that your name is Mark Ellis is irrelevant to me. You're just in the way.
Wow.
Guys, I'm going to have nightmares from that. I'm going to have nightmares.
I, as Mark Ellis, have pissed my pants. So, John, like I said before, and I'll say it again, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy with all the, podcasts and different shows you're on and appearances and Universal work you're doing. So if people want to, where can they find you online? Tell us what's going on with you, anything where people can find out what's going on with John Rocha.
Yeah, you can always follow me at The Rocha Says, ROCHASAYS, on Twitter and on Instagram. I always try to respond to people. I can't always get to everyone, but I try to my best. At least like your comment if I can't respond to it. Please listen, like a top 10 show every Wednesday drops 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Find us on the playlist. We're not on the main page much anymore, so find us on the playlist. And the Cinephiles, which you were very kind to mention earlier, that's on iTunes, where me and my film professor friend Steve Morris, we break down one classic film that came out before the year 2000 and talk about its production history and its legacy. And then my new show that I'm doing over at Geek and Sundry on their Twitch channel, Super Animation Game Time, with Yuri Lowenthal. We interview one performer or one artist or one animator or one producer, writer, creator, showrunner, what have you, in the world of animation, video games, and voiceover, and talk to them about how they got into this business and about their lives. And it's a show that's not about like, hey, when you did this on episode 7 of season, it's not about that. It's about like, tell us about your life, tell us about how you are as a person. And then if we get to your career, great. But it's more about getting to know the people and how they came to find their success.
Sounds amazing, John. Once again, thank you for your time, and best of luck to you beating Mark Ellis not once, but twice. So we appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, the Outlaw, John Rocha.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you, boys.
Mr. Outlaw. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, welcome back. How about that? The Outlaw, man, cutting a promo on Ellis, and he scared both me and Frank to death pretty much. So it was great. Man, awesome that he took the time. So always cool to talk to Rocha. Welcome back. He's welcome back anytime to be on this show for sure. Now, it's preview time. We got a big team matchup coming this week. We've got a special attraction, Schmoedown, if you will, coming later. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the team matchup, which is Team Machinima ETC, which is Elliot Dewberry and Ricky Hayberg going up against the Team Real Rejects with Greg Alba and John Humphrey. Now, the Machinima team, they're not strangers here. Elliot Dewberry has been in the team competition with Ricky. Elliot's been in the singles. He's a veteran at this point, if you will. Ricky hasn't done the singles very much, and Machinima comes in. They know how this works, so they, to me, would be the football team in this. Real Rejects, it's their debut. Frank, how do you see it going?
So, yeah, like you said, Machinima, they've been in here before. Real Rejects, first time. This format, I think, is real welcoming to first-timers, especially because of that second round. 6 questions, they can all collaborate. I think what we're seeing here is that's really leveling the playing field. And you got to take advantage of what you get in the first round because that's relied solely on individual play. Ricky and Elliot, they did okay in the team tournament back in 2015. Their first matchup was against Team Profiles with Mans and Alicia Malone. They scored 58.33%. They beat Profiles in the round 3 wager round, which we no longer have, thank God.
Yep.
And then their last...
Matthew Broderick.
Oh, boy. Flashbacks like, oh, boy. And then Machinima's last match in that tournament was against Rotten Tomatoes, who we just saw go up against Top 10 a couple weeks ago. And, they scored Machinima 54.55% as a team. And Ricky didn't quite show up in that one. He got all 3 of his individuals wrong. Elliot, he got 2 of his 3 right. And then Hayberg, though, he came back in that second round when he had to answer the sports questions, and he did a pretty good job. Wasn't enough. They lost to Rotten Tomatoes, so that's all we don't have anything on Real Rejects. And I personally don't follow their stuff a whole lot, so I'm not well versed in what they know. I'm sure Christian does, obviously, and I'm sure he has full confidence in them coming into here. That's why he probably invited them. So I think this is probably going to be a pretty fair matchup, just because I got to trust Christian's judgment on Real Rejects. But I think you would have to give the slight advantage to Machinima just because they've been here before. Elliot is, like you said, a veteran with the singles and the teams now. So I'm gonna throw it to Machinima just because I've seen them before.
Okay, I think that's very fair. I'm kind of the same. I'm of the same mindset. I know that the real Rejects they have a YouTube channel. That's about as far as my knowledge goes of their movie trivia. They review a lot of movies. I'm assuming they have great knowledge, as does Machinima ETC. But I will always take the team that has been there before. I think Elliot Dewberry is out to prove something.
Yeah.
I think he feels slighted with the whole jabs that he had no chance against Mark Reilly. Kind of sticks to you a little bit. So I think he definitely wants to get in there, get a victory. Him and Ricky together. Maybe they take on the Wolves of Steel down the road. And he gets a little bit of that revenge against Mark Reilly. But yeah, I tend to go with the team that's been there before. And Machinima has been there before. So that's who I got. Yeah. I got Machinima. But let's move on to it's a special attraction. It's not part of the league. It's not part of the tournament. It is a Schmoedown special, almost, if you will, between Olympic gold medalist Cody Miller and JTE.
This match is, I guess, in a way, supposed to be a confidence booster for JTE, which is just the wrong way to go about it because you challenge a guy who's never been in the Schmoedown. You're gonna use that to get your little confidence boost to get a win in 2016 before the year's up. I mean, okay, sure, but I mean, if the match goes anything like the Smack Talk goes or went on the live show, I think we could be looking at JTE's fourth loss this year. But I mean, if anybody had watched Cody Miller on Movie Talk and on Schmo's live show, this ain't gonna be a cakewalk for JTE. Like I think he might have thought, walking into this, because JTE, let me tell you, he hasn't performed very well in his time this year in his 3 matches. I mean, he's 0-3. He's answering 60.47% of his questions. He has a point differential of -13. I mean, he's had a bad run of it. And if he thinks Cody Miller is going to be the sacrificial lamb, if you will, for his redemption, I think he's got another thing coming. But I guess I'm going to take JTE, but I will not be surprised at all if Cody Miller wins this thing. In fact, I may laugh and die from laughter.
Man, JTA, poor guy, has been on a downslope as far as singles goes. And team, I think him and Jeff Snyder are looking pretty strong. So I think they could definitely take a run at the titles. Yeah. But yeah, like you said, man, it's been a bad year for Josh the intern, or excuse me, engineer, not intern. Good lord, that's been a while.
Yeah, going way back.
God. Anyway, JTI, I can't even have alphabet skills, but JT, man, it's been a tough road. It's been a really tough go of it. I know that he wants to get back in the win column. They had some playful banter said on the live show. What's funny about Cody Miller is he's watched every Schmoedown. He watches Collider on the daily, watches Schmoes Know. So he knows this format. He knows how it works. He knows, what kind of questions are going to be on that wheel. He knows how it works. He knows how to play things to his advantage. And I think that says a lot. He's not just a first-timer. Well, I mean, he is a first-timer, but it's not like he's coming in cold. Right. Like some of these people do. Like, unfortunately, El Mayembe. You come in cold, and it's like you don't quite understand how the rules work. You don't know how things go. But with he saying that he's watched every Schmoedown, and I believe him. I absolutely believe him. It kind of gives you a little bit of an advantage as opposed to someone that's coming in completely stone cold. That being said, I don't know the extent of his movie knowledge. So that's tough. We know JTE is huge movie brain. He's just had a rough go of it. Frank, I'm going to take the upset. I think Cody Miller, on the strength of his Olympic gold medals and bronze medals and, I don't know, just genuine good looks, I think he can beat JTE. I really do. I think calling an upset.
You're calling all around beatdown, looks, knowledge, everything, man.
I mean, well, I think as a married man, I think I can say with utmost confidence that Cody Miller is a good-looking dude. So it's fair. It's fair to say. So yeah, man, I'm gonna take Cody Miller. I think that he can win this against JTE, and I feel bad for the guy because he's on a downturn. But like I said, JTE in the team match doing well.
And you know what JTE's done to himself? He's put more undue pressure onto himself to beat a no-name competitor in Cody Miller. If he doesn't beat Cody Miller, where does he go? Why would he do this to himself? Why would he challenge an outsider like Cody Miller? I mean, he should have just stuck with somebody that was already inside the league. This way, if he did lose, it's not viewed as such a horrible loss, unless, of course, he lost to Finstock. That's a whole nother thing, which, who knows. But, he's got this outsider coming in, a self-proclaimed movie buff in Cody Miller, and, I think he just put a couple more bricks on himself that he didn't really need, but nonetheless, it's going to happen, and I'm definitely going to watch, and I can't wait. I just can't wait to see how this goes.
If I'm not mistaken, and, correct me if I'm wrong, Schmoville, because I know you will, but I think Cody Miller actually challenged JTE.
Oh, was it that way?
I don't think it was the other way around. Yeah, I think he kind of had his choice because he was a big fan, and they brought him in. I think he actually picked JTE. So
Well, the fact that
interesting.
JT even accepted, or
Yes, that plays into your point.
But
for
you know
sure.
what? Also, if Cody Miller is challenging him, JT doesn't want to back down as well. So, it either way, JTE is going to have some pressure on him to not lose to a no name fan. So.
There you have it.
And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Cody Miller as a no name. Just in respect to the Schmoedown. That's all I'm saying. So I don't want anybody trying to twist my words here.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You're taking the knife out of Mark Reilly's back, and you're going to stick it in Cody Miller's back now. Is that correct?
Man, you're really killing me today.
No, I'm just playing. That'll be a running joke from now on.
Great.
Sorry, not sorry. But guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Schmoedown Rundown. If you need to reach us, feel free to email us schmoedownrundown@gmail.com. I will respond to all of your emails, or try to at least. God, I put a lot of pressure on myself just now to answer a bunch of emails. I'll do my best. Okay. So, yeah, thank you. So we have Frank, the Statman. Frank, where can the good people find you if they want to check out what you're doing?
They can find me on Twitter at FrankieJ29. I haven't been posting any stats on Twitter off my Twitter handle. I'm going to start doing that. So if you want to follow my Twitter and see some other stats that I don't normally post in Schmoeville, which is where you can also find me in Schmoeville, posting up some stats and talking Schmoedown. Check out my Twitter handle, FrankieJ29. I'll be posting up some stats there.
There it is. Wonderful. You can find me on the Twitter webs at ATTitanium. You can also, if you want to email, schmoedownrundown@gmail.com. And, we'll see you next week. Take care, guys.